Earth. In addition to these nanoracks, there's quite a bit of experiment supplies for ongoing experiments, namely the BASS experiment. This is a burning and suppression of solids experiment that we've talked about before here on NASA television. It's an interesting fire experiment that takes place up there.
Is complete through step 2.
Copy. Thanks very much, Chris.
Chris Hadfield there confirming that the crew is continuing to monitor the Dragon as it backs away, working through their procedures. But this BASS fire experiment takes a look at how flames and fire behaves up in space and how you could extinguish it, which sounds fairly straightforward, but it's not, because here on Earth, whenever you have a flame, you're supposed to, if you're going to extinguish it, aim the fire suppression or the fire extinguisher at the base of the flame. That is sort of where it's born. That's where air comes in. That's where the flame sort of starts. That's where it's most stable. So the thought is if you put it out there, then it kills the flame, much like you see on a candle or a real fire or something like that. Well, up in space, you don't have gravity and you don't have air flowing the way that you do here on Earth. So if you take a look at any of these fire experiments, the flames are really big balls of fire, so if there's really no base. So the question is, how do you put out fires most effectively up there in space? And that is exactly what this BASS experiment takes a look at. So the Dragon and the space station now up over Canada. Its altitude is 254 miles as we start seeing the first traces of the morning sun. Yeah, ground team about to pick up another arm movement with the station's giant robotic arm. This one will be about 8 minutes long, and it will continue to back Dragon away from the International Space Station. All the systems are good. The crew is following along, and everybody here in Mission Control happy with the progress so far.
Houston Station on 2, we did the check. The CCP function test is complete.
Great. Thanks very much.
The sun rising there on the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft and the International Space Station as these two vehicles are 250 miles above Quebec, heading directly to the east, about to cross over the Atlantic Ocean. Dragon is slowly being backed away from the International Space Station. It is attached to the station's 58-foot-long robotic arm. That will still be its home for the next 2 hours and 26 minutes as this mission continues to come to a close. The release time today still scheduled for 5:56 a.m. Central Time, 6:56 a.m. Eastern Time. And at that point, Dragon will conduct 3 departure burns. It will take it away from the International Space Station, the first one at 5:57, the second one at 5:59, and then the third one at 6:06 a.m. Central Time. Again, the deorbit burn today will be at 10:42 a.m. Central Time with splashdown in the Pacific Ocean at 11:34. This is a live view inside the SpaceX flight control room there in Hawthorne, California. It's always an interesting view to see this team there, because if you see back behind them through the glass walls, that's actually where they make the rockets, which is sort of an unusual aspect as we take a look at these flight control rooms. But as they like to talk about, metal comes in one end and rockets come out the other end of that building. So everything's sort of united there, as the very people who built this spacecraft that we're watching back away from the International Space Station also sitting there watching along as it gets ready to come back to Earth later on this morning. The Dragon and the International Space Station, 251 miles above the Atlantic Ocean, heading to the east now as the sun is lighting up both vehicles. The Dragon is continuously being backed away from the International Space Station very slowly. This is a ground command that is being handled by the team here in Houston as a Dragon rides on the end of the station's 58-foot-long robotic arm. While we continue to watch as the Dragon spacecraft is backed away from the International Space Station, it is quite a busy week for Expedition 35. Chris Hadfield and Tom Marshburn, Roman Romanenko are up on board the International Space Station now. They're going to shortly be joined by three brand new crew members, Pavel Vinogradov, Alexander Mazurkin, and Chris Cassidy, down at the Baikonur Cosmodrome getting ready for launch coming up this Thursday. Of course, we'll have live coverage here on NASA television. This crew, quite unusual. This will be the first crew that will fly up to the International Space Station and dock on the very same day that they launch. This has been done before, but not with the International Space Station. But they are going to be doing this maneuver where they will launch and dock on the exact same day. This has been proven with prior Progress unmanned vehicles. So quite a bit of a shorter flight for this crew. Here's a look at our coverage. At 2:30 p.m. Central Time, we will begin our launch coverage. Launch is at 3:43. 8:45 p.m. is when we will return with docking coverage. The actual docking with the International Space Station will take place at 9:32 p.m. Central Time. And then our final broadcast that evening will be at 10:30 p.m. Central Time, with the hatch opening taking place at 11:10 p.m. Central Time, so quite a busy day. The Soyuz itself, which is currently mated to the rocket, did roll out bright and early down at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. It is down at the launch pad, and all things are good to go for Thursday's launch of Chris Cassidy, Alexander Mazurkin, and Pavel Vinogradov. The clocks here in Mission Control Houston continuing to count down to today's release time for the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft, coming up at 5:56 a.m. Central Time. Again, there will be 3 departure burns that Dragon will conduct fairly soon after the unberthing takes place. That first departure burn is at 5:57 a.m. Central Time. The second departure burn is at 5:59. And the third departure burn is at 6:06 a.m.